Hey everybody, I am back with just a general update on what I'm up to. I don't have the Jeep completed with the gunner, but for your basic Jeep on its own without the gunner, I've actually, this is really mainly what I did this week. I kind of had a really light week of modeling and painting. I kind of just painted this guy up real quick, which I'm actually quite happy with the way it came out. You know, I actually think he came out pretty good. I did a fair bit of weathering. I didn't go crazy because even though there's a fair bit of mud on the wheels, and I did do some rust here, rust effects, a little bit of water on there, oil. I have some mud on the bottom, like, you know, guys coming in and out of the Jeep. But I didn't go crazy with it. I wanted to just show a little bit of wear, but not that this thing's, you know, been rusted to pieces. And so, just to get in a little bit close, I did do a little bit of wear on the sticker too, just to show it not looking too pretty. But overall, I actually quite like this model. You know, initially when I got it, I kind of thought it was a little small, but to be honest, these things weren't really as big as you imagine them. You know, they're not like the SUVs driving around my neighborhood, that's for sure. And so, you know, so yeah, I think this guy looks good. I'll actually do more of a proper showcase when I get the gunner done and when I finish some of my other support infantry, which I've really not made much progress on. I could have did more on them, but I'm waiting for some bases to come in from Warlord and for my machine gun team, and so that's why I didn't even, I like to have them on the base when I'm painting typically, and so that's why I didn't get more progress done. So haven't talked about this in a little while, but I've really had an itch to paint and play Infinity again, and so you'll probably recognize these. I've already kind of showcased these guys. Their bases are still not done, so I have to do that, but next I'm going to be working on the Magister Knight to try to finish my core group, and then I've already, in my excitement to kind of get working on these guys again, I showed off some Infinity stuff, and I had purchased another Orders Sergeant, and this guy's really cool because he has a Spitfire gun, and he has special goggles. For those of you that play Infinity regularly, you'll know immediately what these are, but it gives you a special ability. It's basically special goggles that allow you to see into camouflage and stuff like that. I read it, but I've not played enough to even put the name of the skill to memory. This guy's a little interesting because his back foot's up in the air, and it's his cloak like waving in the wind that's kind of the metal piece holding him up there on the bottom. And he's sort of like running, and it's almost like he's jumped forward and he's stopping, because I used some green stuff just to keep him in place. I honestly didn't know how I was gonna keep this guy up, and so I do find a bit of green stuff goes a long way in these scenarios, and so watch, just for camera purposes, he's gonna fall off, but actually he's staying on there pretty good. Somebody told me that Infinity miniatures are a bit hard to put together. I guess I could somewhat agree with that, because like all these little pieces sort of go on there, but I really like the models overall. I think they're really cool looking, and so I'm glad to get this guy in there, because he's going to be like a specialist Order Sergeant in some ways, with all this extra stuff that he's got. Now this is where I'm really bad. I'm going to just, maybe some of you guys can just sympathize, but I just can't stop myself from buying stuff. And I went, just because I've got a little bit of a bug to play Infinity again, I got a couple of potential avenues locally that I'm going to be playing it. I went out just to pick up a model that I really wanted eventually, and instead I bought more stuff, and I shouldn't even have bought this guy because I've got so much stuff to paint still. And so my commitment to so I did pick up the Jotham, which he'll be my first tag. Now I can't use him in the military orders sect like that, you know. I have to run a general Panoatia list. So for those of you that are unfamiliar, it would be kind of like, it's not a good comparison, but it's kind of like saying, like, you know, you just have Blood Angel Codex Space Marines versus General Space Marines. Like, this would be like in a generalist Panoatia list, but then if you play military orders, where you're limited to the military order models, you can't use this. So I can still use this with these guys, but it just means they're like, I'm running them as a generalist list with other models. I'm not an expert, but that's how I understand it. But I just really wanted to paint this guy, and I knew I was going to run a generalist list at one point. But gosh, when you look at this model, it's just really beautiful looking model. I'm not going to do an unboxing today. Like when I'm working on him eventually, I'll show him. But my before I show what else I got, my commitment to myself, and I do this just to keep myself productive, is I am not touching this until I have the other Panoatia Infinity models done that I already showed you. And so you'll be seeing those first painted. So this way, gosh, I don't know what, I just sort of buy this thing and then it just gets out of my mind. I think maybe that's why we buy models sometimes, just because we just get fixated on things we want, and then when it's on our shelf we feel okay, but then we just build all this stuff up, you know, I don't know. So good thing about Infinity is it's not nearly as many models to paint as some of the other games I play. So you know, my starter set alone is like sort of like close to half of what I have left to paint. You know, so that's kind of good. But they had this on the shelf too, which is the Indigo Spec Ops for Panoatia, and so he's like a specialist. And this one's pretty cool because it comes in different gun and head options, and so I really thought that was kind of neat. I'm not sure, Hollow Card reference, I don't remember what that is. But I do know, I was just watching a game on YouTube actually that utilized this guy, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know how I'm going to outfit him, and I'm not even sure how he totally works in the game. That's one character I don't know, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to magnetize the different weapons or if I just pick one. I really don't know. But then the last thing that I picked up, I'm just walking around the store, and you know, my kids are looking at the comics at the store, and I just walked by and I saw this Secret Weapon Crushed Glass, and I thought, wow, for my Infinity miniatures I could have, like, it's going to be a street, so I could have some broken glass on the ground, I could have like half of a broken bottle there, and I'm thinking I need this, so here's another $10.99, you know, because how can I resist crushed glass? Like, I can't. I mean, can you? I can't. You know, I see it on there, and I have to get that. So, so beyond that, not a whole lot else. I'm probably not going to get a lot done this weekend because I'm going away with everybody, but I expect next week I'll probably be working on these two Infinity figures, and then starting, you know, some of the rest of my Bolt Action. Lots of good news today in Bolt Action 2. They've got American Sherman plastic kit that's available now, and it looks really cool. Despite the fact that I've got two resin Shermans on the way, I'm still going to probably pick one of those up at one point, because it comes with an HMG gun, an antenna, and a working, like, when you move you can move the turret up and down, and it moves a coaxial machine gun with it. It just looks really good. And I was on the forum too for that game, you know, Warlords forum, and they said that you can also open the hatches and put the metal drivers and, you know, our tank crew in there if you want to, which is really cool. So, okay, guys. So, guys and gals. So, I hope everybody has a good weekend. That is my update, and so you'll be seeing more Infinity and more Bolt Action coming up soon. Talk to you later.